Over the past year or so, the idea of having a personal curriculum has kind of taken the internet by storm, and for good reason. People are rejecting the idea that learning ends at graduation or at the end of your higher education, and that is just a beautiful thing to see. I think it is a wonderful thing to aspire to be a lifelong learner and to pursue autodidactic education, and I have found great joy in creating my own personal curriculum. If you've never seen me before, hi, my name is Sage. I'm a stay-at-home mom to two beautiful children, and I am on a mission to improve my life and therefore simultaneously improve the lives of my children. On this channel, I aim to share the simple yet effective changes I'm making to my daily life so that you can go ahead and give them a try as well. If you end up enjoying this video, it would mean the absolute world to me if you would choose to like, subscribe, and hit the notifications bell so that you can be among the first to know every time I post a new video. And with that, let's get into it. In this video, I'm going to be talking about personal curriculums as it relates to motherhood and why I think that moms should have their own personal curriculum. I'm also sharing a little bit about what my syllabus looks like for the upcoming months so that you can take a leaf out of my book or just get some inspiration here. So why do I think that moms need a personal curriculum? First of all, I want to say need is kind of a strong word here. If you don't want to do this, you absolutely don't have to. But if you feel like you would like a little bit of structure and you have a lot of interests that you would like to dive into, but it's kind of hard to follow through on learning that, and you're not sure how you would like to structure that learning, I think a personal curriculum is excellent for that. Having a framework for your learning just makes it that much easier to actually sit down and learn. For myself, I think it's important for me to have a personal curriculum because I want to be setting an example for my kids. I want them to see that learning is not just something that happens within the context of structured education or school. I want to be a more effective parent. I want to spend time actually learning about the job that I'm doing, aka parenting, so that I can be better at it. I want to be able to foster my own curiosity and do so in an effective way. And I want to build helpful skills, both within the context of motherhood and outside of it. So now we've covered why having a personal curriculum is helpful. Let's talk about how to build an effective personal curriculum. The very first step that I think you should take, and I think maybe the most important one, is to do a time and energy audit. So kind of sit down and think about how much time and energy you realistically have to devote to your own learning practice. There are going to be a lot of things that factor into this, including the ages of your children and how much they need you, your support structure. So if you have people who can help you out, if your spouse is able to help you out, if you work outside of the home or anything else that takes up your time, you might have less time to devote to your learning practice. So instead of just throwing a bunch of things onto your to-do list of what you want to learn about, be realistic with it and say, maybe I have an hour to devote to it here and 15 minutes to devote to it here, and then you can use that framework to structure your time accordingly. Next up, make yourself a little subjects list. So I think that the notes app in your phone is a great place to do this. Anytime that a subject comes up that interests you, write it down so that you know what you want to start looking into. Maybe that's sourdough baking. Maybe it's I don't know, the history of a particular country or something like that. Every time a subject comes up and it interests you, make sure you're writing it down so that you can go back and look into it later. That subject list is going to be super helpful when you sit down to write out your curriculum for a set time period, which is what's next. You need to decide on how long your little term will be. Personally, I like to make a monthly syllabus because I think that it's just easier that way, because a month is a shorter period of time, and if I don't get things done within that month, I don't feel super behind and I can just reschedule for the next month. I've seen people do quarterly syllabus, and I just would not want to do that because my interest wanes so quickly in some things. So while I might be super interested in one subject 1 month, I might not be interested in it 3 months from now, and it would be kind of a slog to get through. Also, keeping it at a monthly basis makes it a lot more bite-sized and manageable as well. But obviously, this is your curriculum, so tailor it to yourself so that you can make it work for you. I personally find having 4 subjects per month to be the sweet spot for me. I also include an extra 5th one, but I'm not going to count that as a subject because that is my physical education, and I would be doing that anyway, but I like to have that goal set, and this was just a logical place to do that. When I was initially starting out my curriculum, I made a curriculum framework for myself. This is kind of like having a subject list, except it's a little bit broader, so I can take those subjects from that subject list and organize them into these smaller segments. I don't know how to make that make more sense. Another thing that I think is super helpful is investing in something like a planner or a good notebook. This is not solely devoted to my personal curriculum. This is just my daily planner. But every week I write down like my bite-sized curriculum chunks into here, and being able to see what I need to do makes it a lot easier to actually achieve those goals. I also have my notebook for the syllabus itself, as well as any notes that I want to take, reflections, things like that, which I find very helpful. But this is not something that you have to spend money on. If you are interested in doing it digitally, you can learn something like Notion, which is available for free. Notion is very fun and I enjoy using it, but I am trying to stay off my phone more, and I was finding myself just optimizing my Notion instead of actually learning, and so it just wasn't working for me very well. But a lot of people really enjoy using online tools like that. And again, you could do something as simple as just the Notes app on your phone. It does not have to be fancy. So once you have your subject list and you have your actual place that you're going to be putting your syllabus, go ahead and write out those subjects that you want to do. Like I said, I think 4 a month is great for me, but I'm not going super, super deep into each one of those subjects. Usually I just have one piece of source material per subject. Which leads us to the next, which is to pick a source material for each subject and goal. You have a lot of different options when it comes to source material. Like I said, that can be books, it can be YouTube videos, or online courses. There are a ton of free or very low cost online courses that you can learn a lot from. Those are very, very helpful. If you have the means to do so, look up in-person workshops or classes. Depending on what it is that you're interested in learning, there's a good chance that there might be classes available near you. And even things like podcasts can be helpful in your learning journey. So that's the how. I'm going to show you guys a little bit about my personal syllabus for this month. I have my 4 subjects, which are motherhood, music, herbalism, and homemaking. For the subject of motherhood, I'm reading the book Balanced and Barefoot by Angela Hanscom. My music subject is literally just music discovery, or more intentionally listening to music. Music is something that has always been very important to me, but I found that lately, as I've become an adult, I've spent a lot less time intentionally listening to music and broadening my horizons. Oftentimes I will just let Spotify play recommended songs to me instead of actually paying attention and learning more about an artist that I like. And so I've been picking one artist per month to listen to, either all of their discography or some of it, depending on how much of it they have, and trying to pay attention to that, pick out favorite songs, and just listen to new music. I want my kids to have a really good mental library of music, if you will, so that they feel exposed to lots of different types of music. So this is something that is for me, but it's for them as well. And for the month of May, my artist spotlight is on Gregory Alan Isakov. I know a couple of his songs and I've really enjoyed all of the ones that I've heard, but I never really listened to more of his discography, so I'm very excited to do so. For herbalism, this is going to be a rolling goal of mine. I'm enrolled in the Herbalista free school, which is just an herbalism school online, and it's been very enjoyable, very informative. The source material for a lot of my subjects is books, but I do like having things like the Herbalista free school or other subjects that are an online material that I can just listen to. So there is other work, there's hands-on work to do in the Herbalista free school, but a lot of the material is just online lectures that I can put in my earbuds and listen to while I'm cooking or walking or doing any other motherhood or other activities. Habit stacking is going to be your best friend here as a mom who is trying to learn while also like being in the thick of motherhood. And then for the subject of homemaking, I'm reading the book The Year of Less by Kate Flanders. I've heard really good things about this book. I'm very excited to be reading more about it. I've been on like a decluttering journey for a while now. It is not something that comes naturally to me, but it is something that I like aspire towards. I would love to be more of a minimalist, live in a less like cluttered environment, and be more mindful about my purchases and what I'm bringing into my home. And in spaces that are talking about that, I see that book recommended a lot. So I'm very excited to read more. And then lastly is the physical education in there. Like I said, I've been on a journey to be consciously moving my body more, but I wanted to have like a structure to it so that I know like this is what I'm focusing on for this month, this is what I'm focusing on for this month. And so putting it in my personal curriculum just felt right. And also it's like a funny nod to like high school physical education. I don't know. And for this month, I am focusing on learning to run. I know, crazy, but I'm using the Zombies Run app to learn how to do that. It's basically like Couch to 5K, but with like a fun storyline behind it, so I've been enjoying that. And I'm also trying to do Pilates by Izzy. I don't like doing it, but it makes me feel very strong, and so I want to get better at it, but they just take so long and they're so hard to do with little kids running around. And if I do them at night after the kids go to bed, I feel like way too energized afterwards. So I'm still figuring out how to make that work in my day-to-day life, but I'm trying. My number one goal that I'm focusing on this year is my reading goal. I set a reading goal for myself of 50 books in 2026, and I'm pretty much on track to get there. And a lot of the books that I'm reading are fiction. I don't discriminate between fiction and nonfiction, but that is my biggest goal, is to finish that reading. I really want my kids to be seeing me reading throughout the day. It's been a big goal of our families to make reading like a big part of our family culture. We read to our kids a lot. Our kids read to themselves. They have free access to some of their books. And as we know, like the monkey see, monkey do aspect of it all is very big, and I want them to see their mom reading instead of seeing their mom like scrolling on her phone. That is like what I want them to think of as their normal, if that makes sense. My other goal is journaling, both about what I'm learning and also just journaling my thoughts. So that is a part of my curriculum, like not written down, but I do try to journal every day. Doesn't always happen, doesn't have to be a lot, but I do try to do it every day. What has really helped me to fit that in is putting my kids in their chairs. I got them each their own little journal. It was like literally like a 50-cent notebook that I got at Walmart. They will both sit there and journal with a pen in their little notebook for 5-10 minutes. So that little bit of setup buys me a little bit of extra time. Eventually, I would love to learn how to use a software like Obsidian to build up a notes database, but as of now, I'm being pretty casual with my learning. I'm just reading. I'm not taking notes on what I'm reading. With things like my herb school, like I'm not taking a lot of notes on it. I'm doing my herb work, but that's about it. But in the future, as I have more time, as my children grow up, I do want to be taking notes and having like an external brain, if you will, to be able to look at everything I've learned and go back and cross-reference and reference things as needed. So if you feel like you have the time and you would like to look into something like that, I would highly recommend it. There are a lot of YouTube videos available for learning how to use a software like that. But again, a trusty old notebook or the notes on your phone works just fine as well. Or if you're like me, you might not be taking notes at all. I hope that this video has been inspiring for you guys. I've been really enjoying prioritizing learning and education. I think there's just a lot of value to be found in it. That's everything I have to say on this for today, and I will talk to you guys again next Friday.